lift one more time, and we're gonna come over. We're gonna place it right on those rollers, okay? Whenever you guys are ready. Perfect. Thank you, Palmer. You may be seated. Thank you.
In Jewish tradition, for when someone dies, the attention is paid to the body first. And at the funeral, the attention shifts from preparing the deceased for burial to supporting the family in their grief. There's a ceremony that happens right before a funeral where it's called Korea. The family is given a ribbon, and the ribbon is torn to express our grief. It comes from the Bible when Jacob learns of Joseph's death when he was actually sold into slavery in Egypt by his brothers, but that's another story. But Jacob tore his clothes in grief. And so as we shift our attention from preparing the deceased to supporting the family, we tear this ribbon. So everybody who's got a ribbon, please come up. You don't get to hide while you do this. We're doing this together. And we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, the true judge. And then pin it to your clothing, and you can wear it as long as you want to express that you are in mourning. Welcome. We just listened to the high holiday rendition of the last stanza of Adon Olam, Adonai Li. The translation is, God is near, I have no fear. Most of you here know me here in King David Memorial Park. For those people on Zoom who might not, I'm Gail Rubin, Ruth Rubin's daughter, and a certified funeral celebrant, honored to escort my mother to her final resting place and celebrate her life. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision and grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal the divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of the living and the spirit of all flesh. Under divine protection, we abide, and by God's love, we are comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirit with abiding trust in you. Nancy Rubin, a kind, sweet, strong woman, exhaled her last breath on October 31st, 2024. She lived and loved for 95 years. She was born in Rochester, New York on October 16, 1929, to Phil and Min Bubis, buried over there. 3 minutes before her twin brother, Sid. Brother Larry came along a few years later. The family moved to New Jersey, then to the Washington, D.C. area, where Ruth graduated from Montgomery Blair High School and the University of Maryland, College Park. During college, brother Sid introduced Ruth to his friend Sheldon Rubin. The couple hit it off from the moment they met, launching a lifetime of love and adventure. They married on June 19, 1954. First came love, then came marriage, then came offspring in a baby carriage. Mitch, his spouse Spencer, Gail, my deceased spouse David, Lee, his previous spouse Maria and mother of Diane, and Glenn and his spouse Pat. Diane, granddaughter, her spouse is Jeffrey, and she had great grandson Max in 2022. Ruth and Shelley enjoyed 69 years of marriage until death parted them when he died at the age of 93 in August 2023. After college and before the family came along, Ruth taught elementary school for 2 years in Baltimore and Silver Spring. She became a stay-at-home mom who was incredibly active. A troop leader in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, a member of Sharatophilia Synagogue Sisterhood, and a life member of Hadassah, starting with the Kadima chapter in the greater Washington, D.C. area. She and Shelley managed real estate properties together, cleaning out old houses and bringing home anything unusual left by the tenants, like old wagon wheels and oriental carpets and anything nautical. She was a wonderful cook and the hostess with the mostest. She made the fluffiest matzo balls, the best brisket, and kugel to die for. She hosted holiday gatherings and parties throughout the year and made it look easy. Family gatherings with the grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins took place regularly, either at the Rubin, Cohen, or Bubis households. Passover, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, New Year's, Super Bowls, birthdays, bar and bat mitzvahs. She loved pickles. And while I was with her this summer, when she was in the skilled nursing facility, she reminisced about her bubby's wonderful sauerkraut from her childhood in Rochester. She managed family camping trips. Can you imagine an epic 1970 cross-country trip from Washington, D.C. to California and back, managing 4 kids ranging from age 15 to 9 in a pop-up Starcraft camper named Frodo. Every summer there was a week at Ocean City or Rehoboth Beach. The family would go boating on the Chesapeake and camping in the mountains of Maryland and Virginia. And with husband Shelley, the couple went on many trips to exotic, far-flung places. The family would reunite for milestone anniversary celebrations, including cruises to Alaska, Bermuda, and along the Mississippi River from Memphis to New Orleans. She loved nurturing plants and had a large collection of potted flora that transferred to each home they lived in. Tacoma Park, Silver Spring, Leisure World, Delray Beach, Florida, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. She also loved butterflies, which offer a metaphor for transformation from the physical world to the spiritual. Everyone I've spoken to about Mom and Dad commented how caring and supportive, sweet and funny they both were. Mom and Dad were prolific card senders for birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. While she had a sweet disposition, she was also a tough cookie. She faced multiple health challenges throughout her life and still wanted to live on, even when persistent pneumonia became just too much to overcome. She had 3 hospitalizations since July. And when she was admitted to the hospital on October 17th, the day after her 95th birthday, this time she was in the intensive care unit. The doctors recommended hospice, and she spent 11 days on inpatient hospice care at Delray Medical Center. On October 31st, the day she passed, this date is notable in numerous cultures as the day when the veil between the physical and the spiritual worlds is the thinnest. Halloween will now always have a special meaning for us. I don't know where Mom got her Jewish education, but she was able to follow along reading the Hebrew and the prayer books at services. We were regular attendees Friday night at Sheraton Villa Synagogue. She made sure all the kids got a good Jewish education, Sunday school, weekday Hebrew school, bar and bat mitzvahs, and confirmation. She made me a life member of Hadassah, just like her. Lee, who lives in Delray Beach and was incredibly supportive of the folks in their final years, sent me a voice recording of Mom during the Jewish New Year. She was having breathing difficulties as she recited the priestly blessing. May God bless you and keep you. May God's countenance shine upon you. May God lift you up and give you peace. Please join me in the recitation of the 23rd Psalm, which I don't think you have on your handout. A Psalm of David, Psalm 23. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside the still waters. God restores my soul. God guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, provide a true rest on the wings of the divine presence among the holy and the pure ones who shine as brightly as the brilliance of the sky, to the soul of Ruth Rubin, who is gone on to eternity. The Garden of Eden will be her resting place. We beseech the merciful one to shade her forever with divine wings and to bind her soul up in the bonds of life. Adonai is her heritage, and may she rest peacefully, and let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish. Stand as you are able. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra yursei, v'ayich hutei, v'hayehon v'yomehon v'chaye behol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah minrach ulam umei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalal v'yithaleh shmei v'kiddusho b'rechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'yishurata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And at this point, the casket will be lowered, and you're all invited to help place dirt on the casket. It is a mitzvah to help bury the dead. Early or late, all must answer the summons to return to the source of being, for we lose our hold on life when our time has come. As the leaf falls from the bough, when its day is done, the deeds of the righteous enrich us all, as the fallen leaf enriches the soil beneath. The dust returns to the earth. The spirit lives on with God.
I don't know if you can hear me, but Gail asked if we could say something about Mother.
Sandy, wait until later.
Okay.
I'll invite everybody to say something after we put
Okay.
the dirt on. Okay.
Sure.
There's a tradition when shoveling the dirt that you avoid passing the trowel or the shovel from hand to hand, as pain should not pass from hand to hand. So after you throw some dirt onto the casket, put the shovel back in the dirt and then let the next person pick it up. Should we go in order? Now we can have some words from people online. Sandy Seide from New York.
Well, one of the oldest recollections I have of Mother and Dad is going to visit them. It had to be at least 60 years ago, maybe 65 years ago, going to visit them. I don't know who I was with, if it was my first wife or I was with my parents, but I remember going to visit them and being there for dinner. And I was in the other room and Ruthie was in the kitchen. And I heard this hammering and I didn't know what it was until I went into the kitchen and she was there with like some kind of a hammer hitting the chicken. You know how you hit it and flatten it out for like cutlets, and it was the oddest, sweetest thing, and I always remembered that, and it just brings back this memory. And another memory I have is going to, I think it was Virginia, maybe 30 years ago, with my before I was married the second time to Gloria. And I think it was a wedding. Uh, Maybe it was to Sid's kids. I can't remember, but it was the time I told Gloria I loved her. First time. Another Ruth Rubin happy memory. So I just want to
Nice.
share that.
Thank you, Sandy. Anybody else online have a brief
Sure, I will.
story? Marlene.
I remember when Ed and I first moved here, and Ruthie and Shelley did not live far from us, maybe 15 minutes car ride away. And they would have us over often. And they told us all about the area and where to go. And we got together every so often. And I remember all the times down in their basement where they had all these games and fun things to do. They were wonderful, wonderful people. But most of all, when Gail and her mom were together not long ago, and they called me, and we all FaceTimed together. It was the last time, but a great remembrance. Ruthie was wonderful, and Gail just like her mom. Yes.
Thank you, Marlene. Stephen Bleischer, my brother-in-law.
I just wanted to say that from the first day I met Ruth and Shelley, they were marvelously warm, made me feel like part of their family. And I will always love and cherish their memory.
Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else? Anybody else here in person?
I would. This is Annette.
Annette, hello.
And I'm Lucky Bubas's daughter. Aunt Ruth was and will always be one of the sweetest, kindest people this planet has ever seen. And that's how I want to.
Thank you.
Gail, I'd like to say something.
Okay, it sounds like Marilyn.
You're right. I'd like to say something. I want to tell you about the first time I saw your mom and dad, show them together. I was a confirmation person at MCJC many years ago at our dance, and your mom and dad were our chaperones. And this is when before they were engaged. And Ruthie says, I think I found the right one. I says, it sure looks like it. And they were dancing together and having a wonderful time. But the two of them were wonderful human beings, warm and kind and loving and always including people and making feel loved and accepted.
Amen.
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 Hello.
Hold on. Yes, who's this?
This is Jenny, Lucky's wife.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
Well,
Yes, I just want to say my greatest memory of Ruth was when I first met her and I went over for Thanksgiving dinner and she taught me how to make matzo ball soup. And from then on, my kids, they really love matzo ball soup. So that was my favorite memory of her, even with all the other things that she um, informed me and helped me do. But yes, very lovely sister-in-law.
that
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to go over here to Linda Bernstein.
Hi. Ruthie was my second cousin, I guess. My mother, Evelyn Bubis, and she were first cousins. So when I got settled in Washington, D.C., it was time to invite over my cousins, Ruthie and Shelley, and Sid and Elaine, who then, I guess, maybe were in their 40s. Anyhow, I was living in an apartment in Southwest Washington, D.C., 1 bedroom, and getting sort of popular then were water beds. And we all sat down to eat, but before we were going to eat our dinner, they said, "We hear you have a water bed, a king-size water bed." And I said, well, yeah, it's over there in the bedroom. They said, Ruthie and Shelley and Sidney Lane said to me, "Can we try it?" And so I said, yeah, have at it. So they all got up from the dining room table, trooped into this tiny little 1 bedroom, which was mostly occupied by the king-size waterbed. And I went in the kitchen to get ready the next course. And I hear these whooping and laughter and hilarious shrieks coming from the bedroom and sloshing. And I said, gee, this is a fun family. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Gail, I remember both your parents' warmth and being in their kitchen with you so many years ago. It's just such a wonderful feeling, and you reflect that as well, you and your siblings. So I know it's a big loss, but that's the price of admission for a big gain.
Love and loss.
I got my twisted sense of humor from my mother.
The first time I met Ruth Rubin, she did something amazing. She welcomed me into her family, and I've been blessed with that ever since. Shelley and Ruth were two incredible people with an amazing capacity to love, and we were all blessed by that.
Speaking of senses of humor, very often when I would be winding down a conversation with Mom, she'd kind of say, well, back on your heads. This comes from a joke. A man dies and he goes to hell. And the devil shows him he has 3 choices for where he can spend eternity. Door number 1 is a flaming, fiery pit of people slaving in the salt mines. Door number 2 is a ocean with crashing waves and people are chained to the rocks and they're being beat upon by the waves. Door number 3 is a bunch of people standing around drinking coffee, knee deep in shit. He says, well, compared to the other 2 rooms, this one doesn't look so bad. And as soon as he agrees to go into door number 3, the demon in charge says, okay, coffee break's over, back on your heads. So mom just had that kind of sense of humor. A recent Pearls Before Swine cartoon featured one of the characters, the wise ass on the hill, who came down from his hill to deliver a message that just wouldn't wait. There is no past, there is no future, there is only the present moment. And we don't know how many of them we have left. So hug your loved ones and do everything you can to celebrate the moment that you're in. So thank you for coming to honor and celebrate the life of Ruth Rubin. Please keep her and the family in your thoughts and prayers. We have an Airbnb house literally around the corner from the house we used to live in on Sandy Ridge Road, and we will be there this afternoon and all weekend. I hope you will come visit and eat and talk some more and celebrate Ruth's life. So thank you and God bless.